What's going on, everybody? Good morning and happy Tuesday. It is a Rays Place Who Cuts and Didn't Cut the Mustard Tuesday. Also, ASAP Used Auto Parts Grind My Gears Tuesday. Appreciate you making us a part of your starts on this early March 19th. Whether you're tuning in on the good old radio dials, 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Also available online, sportstalk1051.com. Stream it up over there. You got your app, you got your smart devices, and the video stream up and rolling. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. If you're already up this morning, how you doing? Doing well? Getting ready? Got your brackets in? Got to get those in. Turn those puppies in. We've got first four in. Those games beginning coming up here soon. So you got to get those in. Just head to sportstalk1051.com. Click on that Fan Cave tab. Looking for a couple more for the bottle challenge, too. Again, that's at our website. Or to make it simple, try this again. Just text the word bracket, BRACKET, that word only, to our texting line, and then we'll automatically send you a link. Same for the bottle cap challenge. Just text the word bottle, BOTTLE. And well, that link will automatically be sent to you. So need a couple more for the bottle one. And if we get that, we'll send out the teams randomly coming up a little bit later on here. But the madness is about to begin here. So get those brackets in if you want to partake in our bracket challenge. What else do we got on the good old game plan for us this morning? We're gonna talk some Brewers coming up here. On the heels of Jackson Cheerios struggling a bit defensively, in some of these latest spring training games. It was reported last night, in case you didn't see it, by the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel that Jackson Cheerio will make the opening day roster. So, despite maybe some of the struggles defensively, Cheerio is slated to be on that opening day roster when the Brewers begin their season next Thursday. If he starts in center field on the 28th, he will be the third youngest player to start at the position on opening day since 1900. 1900. Obviously, there are some large, big, huge expectations on Jackson Cheerio this year because of, well, for multiple reasons, but really spiked up after signing that deal in the offseason without making his major league debut and only getting a handful of innings in at the AAA level. But there's a lot of pressure on this kid's shoulders. There's a lot of pressure on this kid's shoulders. What are your expectations? What are your realistic expectations? Are you willing to maybe go through some of the ups and downs with Jackson Cheerio to begin the year? Guy making his major league debuts, already got a huge contract out there, or maybe you're of the mindset, hey, dude signed a long-term deal, better produce right away. Don't care about his age, don't care about his inexperience. If the team's going to give him that big of a contract right away, we better get some expectations, or we better, hit some expectations right away. So, what are your thoughts as we start to kind of wrap up spring training here for the crew with opening day next Thursday already? Man, with these, I guess, weather reports coming through, it doesn't almost feel like opening day now. I know, I get it. We've had a long spring and that, but now it's kind of like, oh boy, a couple snowstorms coming now, and I don't know. But we're going to talk some baseball coming up here in just a little bit. And I want to talk a little bit about Jackson Cheerio and such, and really where, like, I guess I kind of want to gauge from you fellow Brewers fans out there. Are you willing to maybe be a little patient with him, or are you willing to kind of go through the ups and downs? And let's assume, I mean, he's 20 years old. He's probably going to have some inconsistency, at least right away. Odds are, I mean, obviously, we would love to see him start off hot and just become a superstar right away. Odds are it's Probably not going to happen. But are you willing to give him a little patience? Are you willing to not maybe be hard on the kid right away if he starts off a little slow? Or are you like, no, you sign a deal like that, you better get going right away. So let's talk some baseball coming up here in just a little bit. We'll hit that up. Also, we're going to talk some Badgers. We've got Badger hockey in play this weekend with the Frozen Four for the women's hockey team. Obviously, Badger hoops coming up on Friday. So RJ Cardinal is going to be joining us in a couple hours from now, about 8:20, 8:25. We'll dive into all things Badgers with him. Also on the dockets, we'll throw a little football talk in here. Nothing new right now in terms of the Green Bay world, but I did put a poll question up yesterday, and there's a couple hours left on it on my Twitter page at DANKASPER. If you haven't had a chance to vote on it, I'm curious to get your thoughts. Now, I guess this is mostly directed towards Packers fans and Lions fans, because I would expect fans of these other teams, unless you view it differently. But I would expect, Vikings fans to vote for the Vikings, Bears to kind of vote for the Bears and such. Again, unless you view it differently. Anybody can vote. But I asked this question. With both teams looking like they will draft a quarterback this year, Vikings and Bears. Bears we know now. Vikings sure looks like it. Who do you think has here's the key word, potential for a brighter future? And I want to focus on the roster part of it. I know we could go into, well, I just don't trust the Bears because of look at the history over there. I get that. I understand that. But I guess what I'm looking for, when you look at the roster, how they're set up right now or potentially set up after the draft, which of these NFC North foes, if you're a Packers or Lions fan, or maybe you are a Vikings and Bears fan, which one of these NFC North teams, do you think has the potential for a brighter future? Is it the Vikings? And I'm looking at the two teams that are going to be drafting a quarterback this year. One's going to be drafting a quarterback number 1 overall. There's a chance the Vikings maybe package their now 2 first-round picks and move up in the draft to get a quarterback. When you look at it, you've got the Bears who now have Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. They signed running back Swift, giving some veteran help for their quarterback in Caleb Williams. Okay. Vikings, we know they've got JJ, Justin Jefferson for now. They've got Addison last year, rookie wide receiver who had a solid year. Hawkinson's under contract, veteran tight end. Now you throw in Aaron Jones into that equation over there too for at least a year. So which team, which franchise do you think has the potential for a brighter future? And I'll tell you right now, the Bears are the leading vote getters. It's at about a 60-40, 60.7% for the Bears right now. So hit the vote button or vote on Twitter. Again, it's at my Twitter page at DANKASPER. Otherwise, if you don't have Twitter, you can always hit me up with a text on the Shoe Doctors bullpen line. And if you are going to text, give me your reasons why. Okay, give me your reasons why. So curious to get, again, and I get all jokes aside. Okay, all jokes aside, looking for some legit, kind of feedback analysis and that sort of stuff, and just basically looking at where the roster's at this point in time. So it is as we mentioned in the opener, it is a raised place. Who cut, didn't cut the mustard. You can make your picks anytime this morning by hitting us up with that text. Okay. If you're not familiar, we've done this for a few weeks now. If you're not familiar with the who cut and didn't cut the mustard, it's kind of like studs and duds. All right. Who cut? It's like a stud. Who did it? It's like a dud. Could be a person, could be an athlete, could be a team, whatever the case may be. It's up to you. It's open to interpretation. So you can let us know with your picks. It is also an ASAP Used Auto Parts Grind My Gears Tuesday. So if you got something that's on your chest that you want to get off your chest and such, now is the time. But try to make it so I can at least say it on the air. Okay, try to do that so I can say it on the air. Unless you really need to get something off your chest unless you really need to. And hey, we're here for you too. We won't say it on the air for you. All right, so you can send those puppies on over if you'd like. But let's shall we just get into things here this morning? Let's just jump right into it, shall we? I want to talk some baseball to open it up. Opening day next Thursday. Reminder: we're going to be at Hy-Vee for opening day. I'm going to start it up at about 11:30. All right, 11:30 over there. But if you got some time off, or maybe you're looking, I know it's the Eau Claire schools spring break week, so maybe you have the week off, or maybe you're looking for a little lunch, extended lunchtime to take in a ball game, hang out with us over at Hy-Vee. We'll be over there starting up at 11:30 ish. But with opening day next week, we're starting to get some, opening day roster picks or announcements, I guess maybe the best way to say it, because last week Pat Murphy already said Bryce Terang's is opening day, starting second baseman. We've got this report from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel says that Jackson Churio will make the opening day roster. Now I know for some people it'd be like, well, duh, with a contract like that, he would have to, but it wasn't a for sure thing. It wasn't a for sure thing. But based off the reports, and this comes off the heels of him struggling lately from the defensive side, Jackson will make the opening day roster. Will he get the starts on opening day? That's maybe another question, but nonetheless, reports are saying he will now make it. So, what are your first initial, right away expectations for this recently turned 20-year-old player who already has a big contract without playing a single inning at the major league level? Obviously, we want this kid to be an overall success, next superstar, next all-time great Brewers player. But considering he hasn't had any innings at the major league level and only a handful at AAA, but with that big contract in hand, how much pressure are you putting on this person as a fan? Like, dude, better perform right away, or are you willing to be a little patient? Let me know. All right. We're going to talk a little Jackson Cheerio coming up as we open up things here this morning. Start hitting me up with those texts, tweets, Facebook messages, comments on the video stream, whatever floats your boat here this morning. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a few minutes to open up things. The closer we get to summer, are you starting to figure out your 2024 travel plans, or maybe trying to schedule all your kids' games and events? You need to make sure you have the proper working vehicle to get you to point A and B. And that's where Toys and Ford can help you out. Whether you're looking for a new or high quality used vehicle to make sure you can safely hit the road, Toys and Ford has just what you're looking for. To top it off, they have top of the line service department as well. Toys and Ford knows how important it is for you to have a reliable vehicle to hit the road. They want to help you find that vehicle too. So give them a visit today and visit toysandford.com. Put up a new poll question too, another one. So you got a couple of them to vote on here. But related to the Jackson Cheerio topic that we're going to get into here this morning. Of these two Wisconsin sports youngsters, okay, of these two youngsters, who do you think is under the most pressure for the rest of their career? Jordan Love or Jackson Cheerio? Jordan Love or Jackson Cheerio? We got to see Jordan Love for a year. He's going to get a big deal this year. We know that. He's going to get a nice contract extension. Jackson Cheerio already has a nice contract, and we haven't seen him play at a major league level. So, who do you think is under the most pressure right now for the rest of their careers? Or I guess maybe the beginning of their careers too, if that kind of makes sense a little bit. But again, you can vote it up. I shared it up on both our Twitter pages at DANKSPER and at sportstalk1051.com. Keep you posted on how the votes kind of funnel through here. But if you don't have Twitter, you can always hit me up with a text if that's easier for you. Okay. Let's get things rolling here this morning on the leadoff. News last night that the Brewers, this was from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel last night, that Jackson Cheerio will make the opening day roster. And I know for some fans, it was like, well, duh, but it wasn't a for sure thing, or at least the Brewers did a good job of saying it wasn't a for sure thing. But he will be the youngest Milwaukee Brewers player since Robin Yount to make his major league debut. He is the second-ranked prospect in all of baseball behind Holiday over there with Baltimore. Recently just turned 20 years old. And if he starts in center field on the 28th, he will be the third youngest player to start at the position on opening day since 1900. So, according to the Journal Sentinel, Jackson Cheerio will make the opening day roster. And this comes not too long after there was, some talk and some articles, even go to Brewers.com and talking about, Jackson's defense. He's struggling a little bit defensively. Pat Murphy kind of downplaying a little bit, saying, paraphrasing, but saying, guys thinking a little too much, putting a lot of pressure on himself to make that opening day roster. Now, when you look at this could be a move like, okay, if Jackson knows this already, hey, I've made the opening day roster, maybe the kid can relax a little bit and get back to just playing ball, just get back to playing baseball and not have to press too much, not have to think too much. That's the ideal outcome, right? It's like, okay, that's a weight lifted off his shoulders, off this kid's shoulders. And maybe he could start to get back to focusing on just playing good baseball, playing good ball. We'll see how it all plays out. But there's no doubt about it. Jackson Cheerio is under a lot of pressure. Internally, on himself, from the fans. This kid's got a lot on his shoulders. We have yet to see him at a major league level. We have barely seen him at the AAA level. Handful of innings. You've got rankings out there. He's the second best prospect in the entire major leagues. We've been hearing about this kid We've been hearing about Jackson Cheerio for, it seems like, almost 5 years now. It's only been a couple. But it just seems like we've been hearing about him and how good he is for a long time. Heck, you've got beat reporters, beat writers for the Brewers. If you don't have Twitter, I think it's Kurt Hogg, or was it Kurt Hogg? But, last year he would tweet out a video every time Jackson Cheerio hit a home run in the minor leagues. So you had media, kind of building up the aura of Jackson Cheerio. The kid's under a lot of pressure from a lot of different ways, coming from different sources, different areas, right? Pat Murphy, kind of even saying too that Cheerio has done some nice things. You can see it in him. You can see the talent. There are flashes at the plate that he's been very, very good. Other stuff, he has a long way to go. We didn't sign him for just this year. We signed him for the future. I think he'll grow leaps and bounds. He will grow more accustomed to what it takes. So, and he also went on to say he's a young kid. I'm just going to keep believing in him. He's probably pressing. He also did some really good things today. Upside is fantastic. He did go on to say he's played subpar defense, but I think a lot of that is the extra weight of expectations he's carrying around. I think that will improve for sure. And there's no, it's going to be interesting. I think the big unknown when it comes to Jackson Cheerio is that how does he handle these expectations? How does he handle this weight, this I guess the weight of the franchise under him is, I guess, what I'm trying to say here is how does he handle that pressure? How does he handle, like, oh, I've got a big contract already. I haven't made a major league level. I'm kind of viewed as maybe the new face of the franchise, a franchise that we know doesn't spend a whole lot of money all the time. They aren't going to be a top 5 paid, franchise out there. So I kind of have to maybe be the guy that helps carry us to a World Series. I mean, we could come up with a bunch of different reasons, and that's where I look at it. If I were to make a case for both sides here, and right now the vote getter leader on our texting line is Jackson Cheerio, who's under the most pressure. But if I had to make a case for each person, we'll start with Jackson. Why I think he's the most, or the player, the Wisconsin sports youngster who's under the most pressure right now is, one, you already get a big deal without playing a major league inning. You already get that instantly puts pressure on you. We've been hearing for the last couple of years of how good you are. Even though we haven't seen you at a major league level, we have constantly been told you are good. Not just good, really, really good. Like fantastic good. That puts pressure on you. But I also think it does add a little pressure of being on a team, a small market team like the Brewers, because you are going to have to be the guy or one of a couple of guys. You're not on a Dodgers team where you've got a lineup of a Freddie Freeman and an Ohtani and a Mookie Betts, where you've got a bunch of dudes all across the lineup. All across. Where if this guy has an off day or maybe he's in a little bit of a slump, team like that's got other guys who could step up and fill in for that hole. So it puts a little bit more pressure on a youngster who just turned 20 years old to be like, okay, if this team, for any chance for this team to go to the World Series and to win the World Series, a lot of that's going to be on my shoulders to carry this team. I may have a couple other all-stars with me. We may have a really, really good year where we can ride that momentum. but we're never going to have a roster that's going to be top to bottom all-star talent. It's just not going to happen. That's not going to happen in Milwaukee. So for this team to win a championship, to be a World Series contender, to win a World Series, a lot's going to be on the shoulders of this kid, of Jackson Cheerio. And it's a big unknown yet of what are we going to expect from him? What kind of player is he going to be? We've been told he's going to be really good. It's already setting that bar high. But what if he turns out it's not? We don't know yet. Jordan Love, I mean, when you're the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, you're going to instantly be under immense pressure. That's the easy one. Double it up, you're replacing a future Hall of Famer. All right, got another notch on there. What else makes Jordan Love under a lot of pressure is he answered questions last year. Last year we go into the season, we didn't know what the hell to expect from Jordan Love. Some people were adamant that he wasn't going to be the guy. Some people were willing to be patient. Some thought he would be the guy. It was all over the place. And we based it off of draft stuff, what you saw in the preseason, what you saw from reporters tweeting, writing about. We got a little bit of a glimpse from him, and we made guesses. We had our thoughts about him. But I think it's fair to say that he surpassed a lot of people's, if not everybody's, expectations last year. Started off a little slow, but the dude played incredibly well in the second half into the postseason, got his team a few plays away from potentially going to the NFC Championship. So he answered a ton of questions, played really well. You add that on the pressure thing, and now we know he's going to get a contract. He's going to get a contract extension. That adds more to that pressure too. The easy answer is that both of these dudes are going to be under immense pressure from their fan bases, from their teams. The answer is both. Now, is there one that is maybe a little bit more, under a little bit more pressure than the other? I think they're both in two unique, different situations. Because we got to see Jordan Love a little bit. We got to see him for a year, and he looked good. And that just adds on to a little bit more pressure for him to be like, okay, all right, dude, you looked good. Can you repeat that? Is that going to be your style? Are you going to play like that throughout the rest of your career? Or was this just a one-year deal? Did you just catch everybody off guard and took advantage of it? Or is this a sign of things to come and maybe even getting a little bit better? There was already a lot of pressure under Jordan Love to come in and replace Aaron Rodgers, just like there was a lot of pressure for Aaron Rodgers to come in and replace Brett Favre. But now that Love has had success in his first year as a starter, is going to get a nice contract. And I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of people out there, maybe not the majority, but there will be a lot of people out there that will complain about Jordan Love's contract, that he's getting too much money after just 1 year. It's going to happen. You know it's going to happen. If it's going to be in May or June or whenever that deal is going to be agreed to. But there is going to be that added pressure to it as well. So they're two different types of scenarios. They're both young, and they're both, well, Jackson's should be getting there based off the expectations. But, in the next few years, both are probably going to be the faces of the franchise. And the pressures to bring a world championship to each of their franchises is just going to grow every single year that they don't. Or if they do bring one, we want more. It's like Jordan Love wins one. There's going to be that pressure of, okay, now can he do something the other two quarterbacks for Green Bay never was able to do? Win two. So if we're lucky enough as Packers fans to see Jordan Love win a Super Bowl the next day, or maybe the next week after all the celebrations are over with and the parades around Green Bay are done and cleaned up, you know the next thing that's going to be talked about. All right, he got one, but can he do something that Favre and Rodgers couldn't do? Win another. Can he win two? Two seems to be that nice round number for quarterbacks and Super Bowls because you can use the one word multiple. He's won multiple Super Bowls. It's almost like now it's turned into like, oh, he only won one? Guy only got one ring under his belt? First of all, thanks Tom Brady for that, for just like annihilating all the Super Bowl records and such. But nonetheless, it's like, even when Peyton won his second one, the Broncos didn't win because of Peyton Manning. I mean, that defense was really good. Brock Osweiler, there was a debate, which Brock Osweiler be finishing off the year? Should it be Peyton? But we can say Peyton Manning has won multiple Super Bowls. So there's going to be, if Love is able to get one Super Bowl, one championship, a few days later, that talk's going to be, can he get two? Because then you can use the word multiple. Well, he's won multiple Super Bowls. Because the one quarterback in Green Bay history, there's one quarterback in Green Bay history who's won multiple championships, Bart Starr. And that's where, for a lot of Packers fans, he's still regarded as the best quarterback in franchise history because he's won multiple championships. And I think Jackson's under a little bit of a different type of pressure because you're on a smaller market team, a team that's not going to spend a whole lot. So when they do invest a lot of money in a player, you've got the weight of the entire franchise on your shoulders because there's a good chance that, hey, you're not going to get much more help. It's just not going to happen because we can't afford anybody else. We've talked about, is this going to be the way that the Brewers now conduct business, where they give big contracts to younger players instead of, like the contract they gave to Christian Yelich? You got a lot of Brewers fans not liking that deal anymore. Loved it at the time. Don't like it now. Same with the Ryan Braun contract. And you kind of wonder, is this going to be the new way of things for the Brewers to try to combat that? Maybe not invest a ton of money in a guy who's close to 30, a long-term ton of money, because, what if they hit that wall? You're kind of buying based off potential here. But when you're on a smaller market team that's not going to spend a whole lot of money, and you are going to be the guy you're the guy that's got a big contract without us ever seeing you on the field, hell yeah, there's pressure in that. Fans have been told for years that this guy is going to be a stud. Hell yeah, there's a pressure involved in that. And then when you're on a small market team, you can't hide the guy in the lineup. You can't hide him somewhere. Because you know what's going to happen in baseball season. If Jackson Cheerio is struggling, what's going to be a main topic amongst Wisconsin sports shows all across? It happened with Yelich. It happened with Braun. Guys with big contracts that not playing up to that level of that contract. And when you are going to be the face of the franchise for a franchise that may not spend a whole lot more outside of you, definitely a ton of pressure. So there's pressure on both of these guys. Maybe a little bit of a different style, maybe a little bit of a different type of pressure. But who was it that said pressure is a privilege? I think it was Jordan Love who said that. And I think he might have been quoting somebody else on that. But I love that quote. Pressure is a privilege. I think if you were a top athlete or even at the top of your profession, you welcome pressure. That means a lot of people are putting a lot of faith in you. People are investing in you. People believe in you. They want to believe in you. They're willing to believe in you. And people are looking at you to be a leader, to live up to high expectations. So I love that quote, that pressure is a privilege. And as a fan of these teams, I'm glad we're talking about a couple of youngsters here who have a lot of pressure because that means we've got some expectations too. If we weren't putting pressure on guys like Jackson Cheerio or Jordan Love, we'd be talking about probably, well, hopefully we can build up some, depth and maybe eventually in a couple years we're talking about winning some games finally and maybe making it to the postseason and that sort of no. It's when we've got young talent like this or talent just in general, we put pressure on it because we expect great things. We're not talking about, Green Bay this year going into another like rebuild or like, oh dang it, now they got to try to find another quarterback. No, we're talking like, okay, this is a team that could compete for a Super Bowl. Brewers, we're talking about, okay, I like this young team. Maybe they can make some noise, get in the postseason. Anything can happen in the baseball postseason. So when we put pressure on these guys, that means we've got something that we're holding on to, that we got maybe a little bit of hope, a little bit of confidence. We feel a little bit good that, you know what, our team has a shot. Our players, they got a shot to do something. They've got a shot to do something. Could be worse. Could be in a situation where we don't have anybody to hang our hat on, or we don't have, that future face of the franchise, and we're just like, all right, here we go, another season. We'll see what happens. Pressure's a privilege. Pressure is a privilege. Let's take a quick break. We'll finish up the first hour here. Keep your thoughts coming. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Grilling season is upon us. Do it the right way this year, and that means heading to Mike's Star Market on the west side of Eau Claire. Brats, burgers, chicken, beef, whatever you're grilling or putting on the smoker, you want to make sure it's quality, and that's what Mike's Star Market gives you. Plus, they now have freeze-dried candy, and get this, if you purchase a bag of the Jolly Rancher ones, $1 per bag goes to Backyard Dreams. So, Easter bunnies, if you're listening right now and you're maybe looking to fill up those Easter baskets, pick up a couple of bags of the freeze-dried Jolly Rancher candies from Mike's Star Market. Then you're also helping Backyard Dreams. So what are you waiting for? It's time to do some shopping at Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. Also, don't forget, we got looks like not a lot left, or at least that's what I heard, for our bus trip to opening day in Milwaukee, April 2nd. I was going to say August 2nd. April 2nd against Minnesota. So if you want to get your seat on the bus, head to sportstalk1051.com or wiscotrips.com to reserve your seats on the bus. Your ticket includes round-trip motor coach transportation, tailgate party from Premier Catering, and a game ticket on the Johnsonville party deck that includes food and beverages. That's the way to go down to Milwaukee for a game, isn't it? So, again, more details at sportstalk1051.com or wiscotrips.com. Not going to go through all the texts. We got quite a few of them here, but I would just say a slight majority is going with Jackson Cheerio, who's under the most pressure. Nathan here says the majority will probably pick Jordan Love as under the most pressure because, let's face it, there's more Packers fans than there are Brewers fans. But in reality, the most pressure is under Jackson Cheerio, a youngster who hasn't played at all at the major league level, already getting a big contract, will be the face of the franchise without us ever having seen him play. This guy is going to be under immense pressure, and everybody really knows. I think that's what you're supposed to. Everybody knows it. A couple typos in there, so I apologize if I messed that one up over there. But you can correct me if that last part was wrong. I don't know if a little talk to text there or what, but another texter here. This one is from Eric. Eric saying that it's Jackson Cheerio. For everybody saying Jackson's going to get a pass, those were the same people that were quick to criticize Christian Yelich and Ryan Braun after they signed their big deals and didn't live up to those big deals. Everybody who's willing to give Jackson Cheerio a pass for a little bit is just straight up lying to themselves. Another texter we got is going with Jordan Love simply because, as they said, if you are the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, you're always under pressure to win a Super Bowl championship. So, again, it looks like the majority, at least on the texting line right now, says it's Jackson Cheerio. So I'll check the Twitter poll coming up a little bit later on, get some more votes on there. I haven't checked it yet since we posted it up there. But don't forget, too, we also got another Twitter poll question up there. And this is for, if you don't have Twitter, you can text in. But a little football one there. With two teams in the NFC North, Bears and Vikings right now, looking like they will draft a quarterback. I think the Bears is locked, sealed, delivered. A lot of speculation now. Will the Vikings trade up now that they got 2 first-round picks? Will they trade up to try to get their quarterback? But when you look at which quarterback do you think is maybe in a better position to succeed, or maybe he's got better talent around him? And I guess we can kind of narrow it down to, all right, which quarterback's going into maybe a little bit of a better position? Is it whoever the Vikings draft and they got Justin Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson? Or is it the Bears, Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Swift at running back? If we kind of narrowed it down to that, who do you think's going into a little bit of a better situation? So you can vote on that. Right now, the Bears are still winning that poll question over there. And it's all jokes aside, too. I'm you can go with, well, Bears still. All jokes aside, genuinely curious where maybe like Packers fans or Lions fans even kind of view the other two teams right now, two teams that are going to be looking for their future starting quarterbacks and who they hope is going to be a long-term future starting quarterback. So we'll get to that coming up a little bit later on. We got some Badger chat with RJ Cardinal coming up at about 8:20. Women's hockey team in the Frozen Four. And then we've got, of course, basketball late game Friday night. But before all that, we'll finish up with Morgs. Good morning.
Hey, how's your week starting out, Kasper?
That's okay. A little downer about the snow coming, but
are you?
Yeah,
Don't you think we kind of
we do need the precipitation?
We do need it, but
it's-
revenge. Anybody that's lived in Wisconsin for their life knows it was coming.
It's throwing a wrench into the plans of how to get Hudson to his grandma's house.
Okay.
Because it's spring break next week.
Assuming that the snow comes like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
But it kind of has felt like this whole winter. You know when you have a Jack in the Box? Talk about primitive toys, and you just turn the handle and it's and you're on edge because you know something's going to pop out and scare the crap out of you, but you just don't know when. This whole winter has felt like the slow turn of a handle on a winter Jack in the Box.
Yeah.
Sure, have fun, guys. It's 60 degrees, guys. Sure, do it. And now something's going to pop up and get us.
Yeah.
We're due.
I know we're due, and I know we need the moisture. It's just,
but it is a bummer for spring break.
Can you do it on Monday, snowstorm, so I can take Hudson to grandma's on Sunday and, not be affected with driving? So.
Or at this point, you kind of want to just throw in the towel and say, you had your chance, winter. You didn't do it when you could have. And now, everybody's got their sleds put away. Snow blowers, if you're bold. Nobody wants to drag that out again.
Hey, I thought of something going back to your question from last week.
Yes.
Was it like something that's popular, but I'm in the minority?
Something like a mundane topic you have a firm belief about.
Don't wear sweats in public.
What?
I hate sweatpants and Crocs.
Dude, you're in the wrong era. That's all kids wear these days. You walk into Siggy's school to volunteer, and it's either leggings or sweats and Crocs, Birkenstocks or Nike Blazers with the Nike socks pulled high. This is where we're at.
The whole socks pulled up over your sweatpants thing is ridiculous.
You think so?
God.
Oh, you have spoken. Well, you have fashion feelings. You're pretty a fashion forward guy.
Apparently I'm old school.
So what do you say? What, public? Jeans?
Jeans.
Jeans.
Jeans, yeah. I mean, a dress pants or something like that,
I'm fine. I'm fine with. I kind of like that the sweats are being made mainstream. It gives everybody an excuse to be
Surveyor,
comfortable.
if you're listening, you got to back me up. I know Surveyor. This is it's a grind my gears Tuesday. This will probably grind his gears. So
well, for Surveyor Sam, he's probably more like a cargo pants guy. He needs those pockets for all of his surveying tools.
Yeah,
I remember holding stakes growing up. My old man's a surveyor.
Maybe one of them too. When people are dissing cargo shorts, those still have a.
They have a place?
They got a place.
That's how you tell me you're from the 90s without telling me you're from the 90s.
I still want to be in the 90s.
Wear cargo pants. Yeah, there you go.
Well, not pants, shorts. Shorts.
It's a Grind My Gears Tuesday. We're going to make it a Tuesday. I'm going to give you two things. You choose one of them, rapid fire style. Salt or pepper?
Pepper.
Really?
I put pepper on everything.
You're doing it wrong, man.
No.
Salt.
Salt's bad for you.
Salt's wonderful.
No.
I'll take a salt lick if I can. Cash or cards?
Cards easily. I don't carry cash at all.
Cookies or chips?
Chips.
Farm or city?
Farm.
Text or call?
Text.
Ha! Are you one of those, if you see your phone ring, you send a text that says call me?
I'll give it 10 minutes.
Okay. Driver or passenger?
Driver.
Because you're better or because you're a control freak?
I'm better.
Mm-hmm. Comedy or horror?
Horror.
Beer or wine?
Beer.
Dine in or dine out?
Dine in.
Waffles or pancakes?
Pancakes.
And in head of the weekend, rain or snow?
Rain.
See, cooperate, Mother Nature.
Second hour kicking off on this Tuesday morning of March 19th. Appreciate you tuning in. However, wherever you may be tuning in from. Coming up this hour, we'll get to a little Ray's Place. Who cut and didn't cut the mustard? You can make your picks by hitting us up with a text on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line, 715-830-1912. If you're not familiar with who cut and didn't cut the mustard, essentially studs and duds. So make your picks by hitting us up with a text. We'll get to that, let's say about 7:45, 7:50 this morning. Then we've got the ASAP Used Auto Parts Grind My Gears Tuesday. We'll probably hit that up just past 8 o'clock before we get to some Badger Chat with Mr. RJ Cardinal coming up at about 8:20 this morning. We got some hockey. We've got obviously some basketball to chat with him. So we'll get to some Badger Chats with RJ Cardinal coming up at about 8:20, 8:25 this morning. Speaking of Badger basketball, don't forget, if you haven't signed up yet for our bracket challenge, you better do so. Head to either sportstalk1051.com and click on that fan cave tab and enter, or you could text us with the word bracket, just the word bracket, BRACKET. Yes, it's like a spelling bee, because if you misspell it, it won't send you the link automatically. Bracket to our texting line, and that link will automatically be sent to you. Still looking for just a couple more, maybe a few more teams for our bottle cap challenge. Again, you can head to sportstalk1051.com and click on the fan cave tab to sign up, or text the word bottle, BOTTLE, and that link will automatically be sent to you. Again, if you're not like, what the heck are you talking about, a bottle cap challenge? Well, I remember back in the day, the good old days, when you'd grab a bottle of soda out of the fridge from the gas station this time of year, and you twist off the top. It's like Mountain Dew. You twist off the top, and you got a team name there. That was a team year, and then you'd collect them all. And so, like in your kitchen or in your room, you had a bunch of Mountain Dew bottle caps around, hoping that one of those teams would win the championship, and then you got a free jersey. They don't do that anymore, so we're doing our own version of it. So we need a couple more of you, then we can randomly assign those teams to everybody, and then you got another team to root for when it comes to the tournament. So, all right, switching gears here for just a little bit here. So I put up one of our poll questions I threw out yesterday, just kind of get a head started and all. It's got a couple hours left on my Twitter page here, but taking a look at the NFC North. Here, with both teams, Minnesota and Chicago, looking like they will draft a quarterback this year. Which quarterback do you think is going to be in a better position to succeed, or which team do you think has the, and this might be the key word in this whole thing, potential for a brighter future? 62.1% of you going with the Bears. So really, when you kind of, maybe if we just narrow it down to an offensive side of things here, Bears probably going to be Caleb Williams, unless there's a huge shocker. But Caleb Williams is going to go in, and on the offensive side, he's going to have DJ Moore. He's going to have Keenan Allen. He's going to have Swift to hand the ball off to. He's got some veteran players surrounding him, some talent over there too, right? No doubt about it. I think the Bears, and yes, it is a little painful to say this, but I think they have done a nice job at having, they already had DJ Moore. They got Cole Kmet at tight end. But I think they've done a nice job bringing in Keenan Allen, bringing in Swift to attempt to put Caleb Williams in a position to succeed right away. I think they've done a nice job with that from the offensive standpoint. Minnesota, whoever that quarterback's going to be, whether they're able to trade up and get somebody or how that's going to all play out. I know there's talk about a private workout with J.J. McCarthy. But whoever that quarterback's going to be, assuming that they're going to hold on to Justin Jefferson, they're going to have Justin Jefferson, maybe the best wide receiver in the game right now. Addison, who was a rookie last year, made some nice plays. You got a tight end TJ Hawkinson, who's pretty darn good over there too. Aaron Jones for at least this year. So I think whoever this younger quarterback is going to be, whoever this rookie quarterback is going to be, assuming that both will start the season, and I know that might be a dangerous assumption, especially maybe for Minnesota, maybe not for Minnesota because you're going to have Sam Darnold over there initially, but looking down the road for the next couple of years and such, I think both quarterbacks are gonna have they're going into a situation where they're gonna have some nice they're gonna have some nice weapons to at least throw to, some veterans to throw to over there. You know, to me, I've gone back and forth on this. I think, oh man, because I look at Minnesota now, assuming they've got JJ, which I think they will. I know there's some rumblings out there. Could he be traded in it? I think Minnesota's got the better tight end with TJ over there, which I think could be a young quarterback's best friend is to have a tight end like TJ. They've got the better tight end. They've got the overall better wide receiver with Jefferson. And I guess maybe we have to look at maybe next year, maybe not this year because of Sam Darnold, but you kind of get where I'm getting at here. They got the better wide receiver overall, Jefferson. Bears have the better depth when you look at the top two, or unless Addison goes out there and just lights it up this year, because, we know teams are going to really focus on Justin Jefferson, and that benefits guys like Addison and Hawkinson. Whereas the Bears, you got DJ Moore, but Keenan Allen, I know he's a veteran and such, but he's been pretty dang consistent throughout his career. I think it's a good position for either rookie quarterback to go into. And ultimately, maybe when we look back at that question, who do you think has the potential for a brighter future? I may go with the Bears because I feel like they're just going to get the better quarterback. They're going to have the better quarterback. Whoever the Vikings end up getting, whether it's McCarthy, whether it's Daniels or Drake May, I think the Bears are going to get the better quarterback. The one thing that is really kind of pausing me on saying it's 100% Bears and going with the majority, when I look at the coaching staff, I just wonder how long is this current Bears group going to be there? Caleb Williams is going to come in. What if they miss the postseason? What if they have some growing pains this year? And then you're kind of resetting everything with a brand new coaching staff, with another new offensive coordinator. Does that kind of reset everything? Are you starting all over at that point? Whereas I think at least in Minnesota, Kevin O'Connell is going to be there for at least a couple of years unless something drastic really happens. So I think maybe the one key factor in this whole thing could be, when it comes down to the coaching staffs. I mean, if we do the whole comparative chart again, it's like Vikings to me have the best tight end. They've got the best wide receiver, best top two wide receivers collectively. I'd probably go Bears. Who's going to have the best quarterback? I think it's going to be the Bears. But then when you look at stability when it comes to coaches, position coaches, assistant coaches, head coaches, coordinators, whatever it may be, it might be Minnesota. Just because we don't know what it's going to look like for Chicago next year. A lot of people thought Matt Eberflus and the entire staff was going to be let go. I mean, pretty much the whole entire staff was already let go besides Matt Eberflus. But, he's entering in on the hot seat. Point being, I think this NFC North is going to be a pretty darn fun division to watch for the foreseeable future. We got Green Bay. Obviously, Jordan Love and the young receivers and what they're doing on defense, new defensive coordinator, a lot of high expectations, a lot of excitement with Green Bay for the next few years. Again, much to the annoyment of the other three teams, three fan bases in this division. Detroit's still going to be up there. coming off of an NFC Championship game, which it looked like for the first half that they were going to go to the Super Bowl. Expectations are going to be bigger for next year, for this upcoming season. They're going to be there. I look at this division for the next few years, and I think it could be pretty darn competitive if Caleb Williams plays, ends up being the pro that a lot of people expect him to be. And assuming Chicago doesn't screw anything up with it, Bears are going to be I think in the next few years, a really good team. Minnesota has that potential too. Again, I think a lot's going to depend on the quarterback they end up getting and how they mold that quarterback. You got two different scenarios here with the quarterback. I mean, Minnesota, it looks like, whoever they draft right now, it sure looks like they're probably not going to start the season. You bring in Sam Darnold, you give him $10 million for 1 year. Sam Darnold's probably going to be your starter, regardless of who you're picking. Chicago, no. Caleb Williams is going to be the starter. So you got a couple different scenarios in that part. But at the same time, whoever that young quarterback's going to be, guys are already going to have some weapons around him. So I feel like this NFC North division is just going to be a lot of fun to watch. It might be frustrating at times as a Packers fan because for the longest time as a Packers fan, we've dominated the division, right? Kind of got used to it. Now it might be a little tougher. Maybe that'll actually be a benefit for Green Bay, though, when it comes to postseason play and such. Going up against a tougher division, getting ready for the postseason, grinding to get into the postseason instead of, I'm sorry, but kind of walking through the division for how long, for how many years? 49-0 at halftime against Chicago and such. So maybe it'll have a benefit for Green Bay. All right. A couple of you, again, when you're texting in the word bottle, just bottle. Okay, that's bottle. 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 Bracket. I know some of you are probably getting annoyed with this. Bracket. Just text the word bracket. BRACKET if you want to join in. It's not going to send you the link automatically if you misspell it or you add words to it or anything like that. BOTTLE BRACKET. One at a time if you want to sign up for both those. Got a few of you texting in bottle cap. That ain't going to work. It's got to be bottle. So if you want to join that, you got to do that pretty quickly here so we can assign those teams before games get started. All right. So tell you what, let's take a quick break here. We'll talk some more green and gold here. Quick updates on some of the polls here, though. Let me bring up the Twitter. So the Bears are still leading 62.1%. We asked that question yesterday with both teams looking like they will draft a quarterback this year. Who do you think has the, and I put it all in caps, potential for a brighter future? 62.1% of you saying Bears. Texting line is similar. A lot of you saying Bears over there too. With the Wisconsin sports youngster under the most pressure, the texting line, this has happened a few times whenever we've asked questions like this before. The texting line is clearly one way where the votes on Twitter are the complete opposite. So the texts on the texting line are Jackson Cheerio, and the votes on Twitter are for Jordan Love. So maybe it's 50-50 when we add it all up that way. But texting line, clearly Jackson Cheerio, majority over there. Twitter votes, clearly for Jordan Love. So, all right, let's take a quick break. We'll talk some more football. Hopefully get some more signups for brackets and bottle cap challenges and all that. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
American Materials in Eau Claire is looking to add full-time heavy equipment mechanics to their team. Work with great people like yourself and enjoy your workday. Up to $40 per hour depending on experience, as well as insurance plans, profit sharing and life, AD&D insurance coverage, and so much more. Dennis, why do you like working in American Materials?
I've been there 30 years, and one of the reasons why I've stayed that long is for the people. I work with a lot of different people, different diversities, fun to work with. Not every day is serious, although it's a job. It pays well. Benefits are good. I do not do the same stuff every day. I'm out and about. I am in a truck, so I do travel. Home every night, though. Go and work in the quarries, in the gravel pits. We're helping to build the community and to get to work with those in it. All the way around, just a great place to work.
Get your career jump-started with a great company doing great things. American Materials. Apply today at americanmaterials.com/careers.
Because you have high standards and won't settle for anything less, like your wife did. It's the Dan Kasper Show.
Are you looking to get your name out in the public eye more? Do you need some apparel, maybe some drinkware or signage done? Whatever materials you may be looking for, Resonance Branding Company has a wide range of items to help make your brand stand out from the competition. All your branding needs in one convenient place. Resonance is here to save you time, money, and headaches. And they can also set you up with an online store to sell your items as well. So let me simply ask you, does your brand resonate? Resonance Branding Company, the official swag provider for the program and the Man Cave podcast. If you just text the word swag, SWAG, to our texting line, 715-830-1912. Got a couple of items up there, too, maybe a hat or a shirt or something like that if you're interested in checking it out. Later on today, we'll have a new episode of the Man Cave podcast brought to you by our good friends from Toyson Ford and Hy-Vee. New segment on the podcast. So if you're a dad of a young one out there, you probably get asked a lot of questions from your youngsters, especially if they're diehard sports fans. I think every day Hudson asks me about 10 to 15 sports related questions. Finally got the idea. Let's just turn this into a podcast. So new segment. Dad, I have a question. And he starts off blazing right away. He asks me who the best Packers quarterback is of all time. So you want to check that out later. It'll be up a little bit later on today on the Man Cave podcast, and I'm sure I'll get some ridicule from a lot of people out there. But check it out, and we're going to have more from our good buddy Hudson over there. We've asked the question, as we lead up to the draft, it sure looks like the Bears, well, we know the Bears are going to draft a quarterback. It's going to be Caleb Williams. Sure looks like the Vikings now are in a position to draft a quarterback, maybe move up with their extra first-round pick. Which team is better suited, or if you had to pick between Minnesota and Chicago for the potential to have a brighter future, which team do you think is in a better position with their younger quarterback coming in here? Minnesota, you got JJ, Hawkinson, Addison, Chicago, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Swift. Right now, slight advantage goes to the Bears. We'll ask our buddy Joe DeGuano. Joe, which, if you were a younger quarterback going into a situation between Chicago and Minnesota, which team currently do you think is better suited for that younger quarterback to come in and maybe have some instant success?
Great question. And a lot of upheaval and question marks in the NFC North, but I'm going to give it to the Vikings as far as that situation, and here's why. Chicago still is going through what I would call transition in their offense, and obviously they got rid of Luke Getsy, the OC, and so there's changes there, so there's question marks there. Kevin O'Connell, in my opinion, obviously the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, I think he's one of those guys that does a nice job bringing and tutoring, bringing bringing quarterbacks to that next level. And I don't want to say that he's a quarterback guru. I don't like that term, but he just, in my opinion, more proven in getting the most out of a quarterback situation. And so I would say the Vikings are in a better position for a young quarterback to come into strictly because of what you have in Kevin O'Connell from a head coaching standpoint.
A little bit more stability in the coaching standpoint too, right? Like I feel like we know Minnesota's staff's probably going to be there for a couple of years, and who the heck knows with Matt Eberflus and that entire Chicago staff this year.
Yeah, I think there was big question marks whether or not he came back, and obviously the move was made to get rid of Luke Getsy at that point. And the thing I love about Kevin O'Connell too is this is a guy who played quarterback. He played quarterback at San Diego State. He was drafted by the Patriots. He played in the NFL. I just think having a quarterback relating to a quarterback, especially a young quarterback, I think is so important. So yeah, when you look at stability and you look at the Bears' track record, I mean, I think the Vikings probably, if Kirk Cousins doesn't get hurt, the Vikings make the playoffs. And so, but you look at just the fact of the matter that Chicago has had a really hard time developing quarterbacks. Their track record, it doesn't stand on its own. I mean, there's really not a history of developing quarterbacks there. So yeah, coaching stability, and again, the Aaron Jones factor I think is going to be big this year from a veteran standpoint with any young quarterback being there. And so yeah, I just look at a lot of different factors and I say, even though the Bears have the number one pick and Caleb Williams, et cetera, I think the better quarterback situation is the Vikings.
Moving over to Green Bay here, we know free agency is still going on and such, but for a team that has a need for another linebacker, the pickings are pretty darn slim right now. I mean, I was trying to find somebody these last few days, whether it was a trade target or free agent target. I'm like, hey, maybe David Mayo. I don't know, somebody out there to fill in that spot. I mean, the way things are looking right now, Joseph, I mean, I guess they can always find another Devondre Campbell the week or two before minicamp in that. But, I mean, does it look like maybe that next starter is going to come via the draft for the Pack?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're not comfortable with Christian Welch and Christian Young as your backers, along with Quay Walker and Isaiah McDuffie. So yeah, you look up and down this roster, and now you can start. Even though there's a lot of free agency left, I mean, there are still guys out there, yes, but really, truly, the bulk of free agency, the main course meal, if you will, of free agency, has been picked over, and so there's no question, linebacker is a position of the Green Bay Packers in this draft. Safety is still a position of need. When you look at that depth chart, you've got obviously Xavier McKinney, but then you've got Benny Sapp III, the venerable Zane Anderson, who I didn't even know existed last year, but is still on the roster, Anthony Johnson Jr., and then Tyler Coyle. So that's another position you still need depth at. And really, for me, that offensive line, Josh Nijman signing yesterday with the Panthers, and so Josh Nijman is gone. And you look at the offensive line situation, and you've got Josh Myers, you've got Sean Ryan, you've got Elton Jenkins, you've got Rasheed Walker, and you've got Zach. You've got Luke Tenuta, you've got Kadeem Telfort, and you've got Caleb Jones. And so I think, yeah, linebacker, I mean, now you're starting to see this draft come together a little bit. You're saying, all right, definitely linebacker, especially going to the 4-3. Definitely offensive line and offensive lineman with some versatility. And then definitely that safety position. As you look at this roster, those are positions of need for Green Bay. And again, could Goody still swing a deal for a veteran linebacker or a veteran offensive lineman? I think so. I think there could still be someone, and Goody has said all off season, with the ammunition he has in the draft, he would not be afraid to pull the trigger on trading it for a veteran. So, again, and you and I are of the same ilk when it comes to this. Anybody who does a mock draft in January or February, before you really see what happens in free agency, it's really a waste of time, because now the picture becomes much clearer in what the Green Bay Packers need. And again, I think your biggest needs still in the early part of the draft is going to be secondary specifically someone who can play slot cornerback and or safety, offensive line, versatility there, and then that linebacker position. And that's evidence, too. It points to the pre-draft visits that the Green Bay is scheduling. And again, follow, if you want to look at a Packer mock draft, follow the Senior Bowl. That's the first thing. But then also start looking at the pre-draft visits and start looking at the positions that Green Bay is bringing in for those pre-draft visits. So yeah, it's coming into focus now. And you're seeing, at least in those first 3 rounds, where Green Bay really needs to pay attention to from a positional standpoint.
With AJ Dillon now back with the team on the unique 4-year qualifying offer, which is essentially a 1-year deal, how important now, or how critical is it for them to address a running back, maybe a speedster, scat back type back early on in the draft, and maybe when I say early, like a day 2 type of pick?
They like Emmanuel Wilson. As you said, A.J. Dillon's there. We all know Josh Jacobs is there, and then the venerable Henry Pearson. I think you're going to be looking for that smaller back, that speed back, that change of pace back, probably in that 4th round type of a range. I think there's going to be guys there, and as the draft board comes together, I think there's going to be guys there, as evidenced with Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams when you went back to back with those guys. And so I think there's going to be a guy there that you can pick up that's going to be a nice change of pace. And again, don't discount what Emmanuel Wilson brings, because I think Green Bay really likes him. Now, the thing with Wilson is, he's 6'1", 225, 226. We know Dillon. Josh Jacobs, not a small guy, 5'10", 223. And so, yeah, you're looking for that guy that's out of the Aaron Jones mold, that is that 5'9", 5'10", 200, 205 guy that you can use. So I'm looking at that probably now in that 4th or 5th round, rather than those early rounds, unless someone drops. Unless, again, the way the board falls, and if someone's there that you like in the 3rd round, wouldn't surprise me if Green Bay does pull the trigger. But more than likely, I'd be looking 4th or 5th round.
We can, I know it'd be a cool story, but I mean, considering who they have on the roster, we can take off Braylon Allen as that potential, right? I mean, then you got like 3-pound bruising running backs on that roster.
Yeah, when they re-signed A.J. Dillon, and even though they've had a pre-draft visit with Braylon Allen, and Brian Gutekunst traditionally has not gone personally to the Wisconsin Pro Day, he did this year. So, are there some connective tissue to Braylon Allen in Green Bay? Yes, but it doesn't fit, and it really doesn't. I mean, they are really loading up at a certain back type if they bring a Braylon Allen in. And so, yeah, I think now that you brought A.J. Dillon back, I think now you're kind of saying, okay, that kind of guy, unless, again, is Braylon Allen still there in the 4th round, and is that a value pick, and you trust your board? Yeah, absolutely. But at this point in time, yeah, I've kind of eliminated him from my board. And when A.J. Dillon signed on, you need right now, it's a lot of thunder and very little lightning. And I think even though Josh Jacobs is explosive, he's still built a little bit more. I mean, and again, watching Josh Jacobs as a side note, he just is a much more in shape Eddie Lacy. And just the explosiveness and the feet that Eddie Lacy had. And so, yeah, you've got thunder. Now it's time to look in the draft for lightning.
Joe DeGuano chatting a little green and gold with us here this morning. Joe, yesterday, we were talking about Devondre Campbell's comments on the X/Twitter, talking about his time in Green Bay and talking about, the little defensive philosophy that was kind of going on the last few years over there. Anything jump out to you? Anything kind of shock you, surprise you, or maybe what I kind of thought maybe solidified a lot of the issues that maybe Packers fans had with this defense?
Yeah, I had no qualms with Devondre Campbell going off. I didn't. You know what? A player has every right to speak his own mind. If the teams want to do their spin, the players should as well. And look, I think he validated everything that Packer fans saw, especially intelligent Packer fans. I think anybody who watches this game, who played this game, who coaches this game, and looks at it from a critical eye, knew that there were breakdowns, knew that guys weren't in position to make plays. And one of the things that was talked about over the last several years with Joe Barry is he made it too complex sometimes. And you know, did I think Quay Walker was being misused in this defense? Absolutely. When you've got a guy like that and you draft him in the first round, and that's a guy, in my opinion, that you could be a centerpiece of your defense. And really, he was relegated to more of a role player these last couple of years. And so I'm excited to see a 4-3 defense with Quay Walker playing off the ball and playing on that weak side to let his athletic ability come through. So, you know, was I surprised, shocked? No, it just validated everything Packer fans and intelligent Packer fans saw in this defense, that there were breakdowns and guys, you know, who had to make plays because they were covering up for breakdowns elsewhere. And you know, I don't know what spurred it on. I don't know what Devondre Campbell, you know, again, I'd probably be doing the same thing. If I was going through what he said, I'd probably be saying the same thing. I'd probably have this conversation at Barstools, you know, and to vent a little bit and get it off your chest probably is cathartic for him. So nothing surprising at all. It just validated why this team and why Matt LaFleur needed to move on from that defense.
Joe, to kind of wrap things up here, I know you tweeted out a pic of Duke offensive lineman Graham Barton coming up in the draft. And when we look at this, I mean, you know, next year, Josh Myers is going to be a free agent. You've got, you know, Sean Ryan going to be the starter. Interior offensive line is a need. You got left tackle situation with Walker, although he played really well last year. When you look at offensive line, and I know you talked a little bit earlier about the need for offensive line, would you prefer the Packers go out and get maybe a typical left tackle, or would you have that preference like we know Green Bay has of getting an offensive lineman that could play multiple spots, but maybe the value won't be that high? How do you view the biggest need when it comes to this offensive line, the versatility or just a straight up that dude is a stud, maybe left tackle?
You know, I think it's versatility. And here's what I love about Graham Barton. He's projected to his best position projected in the NFL as center, but he has played left tackle. And you're looking at a guy, and again, one of the reasons they say, you know, center versus left tackle is the arm length. Okay, so, you know, he's 32 and 7/8, and that's short for a left tackle in the NFL. But, you know, look, they said this about Brian Bulaga, and Bulaga carved out a really nice career for himself with short arms at that right tackle position. And so, you know, I think Graham Barton is the kind of guy, and again, if his best position is center, because you've got guys on this team now. Zach Tom, a lot of people have said his best position is still center. Elton Jenkins, his best position is still center. I still subscribe to the theory of get the best 5 out there. And if the Packers go Graham Barton in that first round, you know, I would not be disappointed at all. And I mean, if you just look at the tape on him, his technique, it's so sound and he's so consistent. And it just very, very intelligent. And I think when you get a guy like that, whatever the position it is, I think, again, subscribe to the theory, let's get our best 5 out there. Now, could Graham Barton this year come in and take over for Josh Myers? Potentially. But also, could you look at Graham Barton being that guy that, okay, if Rasheed Walker stumbles, we could throw him in and plug him in at left tackle, or if Josh Myers, and again, you pointed it out. I mean, when you're drafting, you got to start looking at that class ahead now. And even though Green Bay this year specifically is out of the salary cap hell that they were in, you know, you've got a lot of young players that are going to be looking for extensions and bigger contracts. And then you say to yourself, can we afford a Josh Myers in 2025? And the answer might be no at that point, depending on how he plays this year. So, yeah, you've got to look at it and say, how do we build a team today? How do we build the team tomorrow? And again, for me, Graham Barton is the ideal Green Bay Packer offensive lineman because the athleticism to get to the second level and because that versatility. So could I see that pick in the first round? Absolutely.
Why does part of me almost feel like I wouldn't be too surprised if they go 2 straight offensive linemen in the upcoming draft?
You know, look, Goody learned from Ted. Ted learned from Ron Wolf. And so the Packer tree stays in-house, and they load up on that position. And again, a good example of that was the wide receiver position for Green Bay, and in 2 years ago they loaded up on that. They doubled down with Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson, and then of course last year go out and get a Jaden Reed and a Dontavian Wicks. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if in the first 3 rounds Green Bay drafts 2 offensive linemen and then later on gets another one. I wouldn't be surprised at all if 3 offensive linemen come out of this draft, maybe even more. Mm-hmm. And so you look at that position. You're going to be paying Jordan Love $50 million average at the very best. And so let's protect the investment. And if the investment is going to be, and Jordan Love is the guy, then protect the investment. Because we saw last year, best laid plans, New York Jets, we're going to go out and trade for Aaron Rodgers, yet our offensive line still sucks. And so the best way to make a quarterback better is to give him offensive linemen. And so, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all, Captain, if Goody goes at least 2 in those first 3 rounds and probably 3 to 4 overall in this draft because of the depth and because of how many picks they have. But you can never have too many good offensive linemen. I don't care what level you're at. Mm-hmm. I don't care if it's youth football, high school, college, semi-pro, or pro. You can never have too many offensive linemen.
Completely agree. Joe DeGuano, appreciate it as always, buddy, for joining us this morning. Let's do it again next week, okay, man?
And you know what? Always some news now. There's always something. We got to talk to Yosh Nijman today, and last week, of course, a lot of big moves. And so we'll see what Green Bay does over the next 7 days. They did re-sign Robert Rochelle, so I want to let everyone know that's big news coming from the cornerback standpoint. But yeah, the clock's ticking, and you and I both know now that it gets into the 2 or 3 weeks away from the draft, that's when it really gets intense. That's when it gets fun for guys like you and I, and that's when you and I watch draft day.
Exactly. The iconic, the legendary, cinematic, classic draft day.
Captain, have a good day, brother.
You too, buddy. Appreciate it. We'll talk soon, okay? There you go. Joe DeGuano joining us here this morning. Let's take a quick break, and let's do a little Raise Place. Who cut and didn't cut the mustard? Coming up after these few words. I'm a creature of habit. One of the very first things I do every morning, brew some coffee. Not just ordinary coffee, though. It's got to be Cabin Coffee in Altoona. See, Cabin Coffee in Altoona also locally roasts and packages coffee fresh and daily. I'm personally a big fan of their Giddy Up. Or if I'm in a hurry, just pop on over to Cabin Coffee in the River Perry District and grab myself a cup of Joe. They got a wide range of options to choose from. That's hard to just pick one sometimes. When it comes to my coffee, I need quality, not just some brown flavored water. And you can get that at Cabin Coffee in Altoona. All right. Let's do some Rays plays. Who cuts and didn't cut the mustard? Who cut the mustard? If you have not seen this dunk by T-Wolves star Anthony Edwards, do yourself a favor and go look it up. Anthony Edwards is my pick for the cut for who did cut the mustard. This will be on posters in kids' bedrooms for years to come. This is the definition of posterized. Edwards threw down a dunk, slam, whatever you want to call it, over John Collins of the Utah Jazz in the third quarter last night. Timberwolves won the game 114-104. But this is one of the biggest monstrous dunks that you probably will ever witness in a real game, in a game that actually matters. Okay. Monster. Anthony Edwards actually dislocated his finger on this dunk after it hit Collins's cheekbone, apparently. So, but nonetheless, big time dunk. This is going to be printed on posters, on kids' bedrooms. Kids are going to, love this thing. I don't know. Do they do some digital stuff now these days? I would just know back in the good old days, when I was younger, a lot of you were younger, this would be up on our bedroom walls, in our lockers at school or something like that. Cut the mustard, Anthony Edwards. Who didn't cut the mustard right now? I'm going to the baseball world here. There's some frustration, apparently, amongst Major League Baseball Players Association and their lead negotiator, chief labor negotiator, Bruce Meyer. Apparently, this is according to Jeff Passan, just from a few hours ago in the middle of the night, that player leaders expressed frustration at Major League Baseball Players Association executives during a Zoom call Monday night, the culmination of a week in which players advocated for the ouster of the union's chief labor negotiator on a call with a dozen player reps from the major and minor league units of the union that lasted nearly 3 hours. A majority of the players, in an informal vote, told their executive director, Tony Clark, they wanted to replace Deputy Executive Director Bruce Meyer with Harry Marino, the lawyer who spearheaded the unionization efforts of minor league players. So who didn't cut the mustard? I think you could go a couple different routes here. You could go Players Association having some beef with their leadership, but probably also the guy who's probably going to get ousted right now, and that's their chief labor negotiator, Bruce Meyer. So that's my Rays place. Who didn't cut the mustard? You can make your picks and play along with us by hitting us up with the text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. I also thought about putting Christian Yelich on this thing because Christian Yelich, I know it was his spring training game, but he absolutely had a monster shot of a home run yesterday too. I mean, big time shot. Put that man in bubble wrap, secure it, make sure he's ready to go for opening day for the regular season, please. But he had a towering shot in spring training yesterday. All right, coming up, we'll do the ASAP Used Auto Parts Grind My Gears Tuesday. I got something that's grinding my gears. Mentioned it for a quick second yesterday, but it is related to the brackets. So we'll get to that. Then we'll talk some Badgers with Mr. RJ Cardinal. We got the Frozen Four, Badger women's hockey. We're obviously going to talk some Badger hoops too. It's going to be a late game for them Friday, going up against James Madison over in Brooklyn. So we'll get to that conversation with Mr. RJ Cardinal coming up. in about, let's say 20, 25 minutes or so. And then we'll go over some of the latest poll results from our poll questions out there. That's on Twitter. 2 in, 1 more to go. Got some news updates, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes, kicking off the third hour with Grind My Gears Tuesday. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Third hour kicking off on this Tuesday morning of March 19th. Shout out to all of you tuning in, however you're tuning in, wherever you may be tuning in from. We're going to talk some Badgers with RJ Cardinal coming up in about 20 minutes or so. Badger Hoops in action Friday nights against James Madison. We've got Badger Hockey, women's Final Frozen Four over there too. So lots of stuff to catch up on with our dude, Mr. Cardinal, coming up in about 20 minutes or so. Well, let's kick off this hour with a little ASAP used auto parts grind my gears Tuesday. And my grind my gears Tuesday is, and we get it every year, there's going to be some teams that don't make the bracket, don't make the NCAA tournament. I think Indiana State should have been in there. The committee took away the opportunity for the world, for the nation to see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar himself. Indiana State's finished first in the Missouri Valley in the regular season. They did fall short in the conference tournament when Drake defeated them. But Indiana State's overall this season, I mean, remember at one point they were in the top 25. Okay, they were in the top 25. But the Sycamores finished 28-6 this season. Same record as Drake. 17-3 conference play, though. So they won the regular season conference. I feel like they deserved to be in it. And you ruined the opportunity, NCAA, to have one of the biggest stories, one of the biggest highlights, fun things to watch in this tournament by not having Robbie Avila in the tournament. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar himself. That's grinding my gears. I know Pitt's upset. St. John's upset. They're not in the tournament. All that stuff. Give me Indiana State. Give me Indiana State. I want to see Indiana State in the tournament. Let's have some throwback talk about Larry Bird. I'm all here for it. That's grinding my gears. If I had to pick one team that I'm upset didn't make the tournament, it's Indiana State. So that's my ASAP used auto parts grind my gears Tuesday. All right. First hour, we spent some time talking about Jackson Cheerio. Reports from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel saying that he will make the opening day roster. Now, I know for some fans out there, they're probably saying, well, duh. But it wasn't a for sure thing. At least that's what the Brewers kept telling us. And they kept saying it's not a for sure thing that he would be on the opening day roster. And this report also comes on the heels of Cheerio kind of struggling a little bit on the defensive side. Struggling a little bit defensively. And Pat Murphy, and there's actually an article up at Brewers.com where they were just talking about this a couple days ago. Pat Murphy saying about Cheerio's defense, he has played subpar defense, but I think a lot of that is the extra weight of expectations he's carrying around. I think that will improve for sure. He's a young kid. I'm just going to keep believing in him. He's probably pressing. He also did some really good things today. Upside is fantastic. So even though he has gone through a little bit of slump might be a little dramatic in this, but he's gone through a little bit of poor play defensively. Reports are now saying that he will be on the opening day roster. And maybe by simply, if the Brewers come out today or Pat Murphy comes out today and says, yep, Jackson's on the opening day roster. Or maybe they privately told him that, hey, dude, you're on the opening day roster. Maybe that just kind of like eases the pressure off of him a little bit, takes a little bit of that weight off of his shoulders, and he relaxes and just gets back to playing baseball where he's not pressing, where he's not afraid to make a mistake. And he's just going out there and balling. I think that's the ideal outcome in this whole thing. You know, if it is out there, if they've already told them what it was, whether it was Matt Arnold, whether it was Pat Murphy, or both of them, and they said, "Yep, you're on the roster," and if they told them that this early, I know opening days next week and such, but they've told them this already. Maybe they're thinking, okay, let's take a little bit of that pressure off the kid's shoulders right now. Maybe we feel like he is pressing, and he is good at defense. It's not like he is a poor defensive player. He won a Gold Glove in the minor leagues. Okay. He has done that. So he does have, or he does play good defense. And I think it honestly is probably just because, you're getting down to the wire of spring training, getting close to opening day. You factor in everything. He signed that huge deal. There's expectations for him to be a really good player. We keep being told he's a really good player. We keep being told he's going to be a fantastic player. He's the number 2 rated prospect in the entire Major League Baseball. And not knowing whether you're going to be on the opening day roster, maybe you're starting to kind of press it a little bit. Maybe you're starting to push it a little bit. And you start to think instead of just going out there and playing. How many times have we seen that? A lot of us have probably even experienced that ourselves. I have. Anybody who golfs, you have. You start to think. Remember, it's like the movie Tin Cup. Anybody see that? Kevin Costner and such, where he has the shanks. And then his caddy Romeo gets him out to, in the driving range right before the U.S. Open. Puts the tee in his left ear, backwards hat, all that stuff. It's because he was thinking too much. His head got in the way. Instead of just going out there and playing. So, I think Jackson will be fine. And I think a lot of, if this is true, and I believe it is, Milwaukee Journal Sentinel reporting that, I think there was maybe a little strategery involved in it to okay, let's help out the kid. Let's alleviate some of that pressure. Let's take some of that weight off his shoulders here a little bit. Let's get him to relax for just a hot minute. Be like, dude, you're on the opening day roster. Let's, just get back to playing baseball now. Now, if he does start, he would be the 3rd youngest starting center fielder on opening day. If he starts in center field on opening day, he would be the 3rd youngest since 1900 to start at center field on opening day. And we know Robin Yount, when he first got, his start and such, 18 years old over there. So, Brewers fans, longtime Brewers fans have seen youngsters coming in and, getting starts right away, being a main player in that lineup right away. They've seen it with the kid, with Robin Yount before. And hopefully Jackson Chourio, if Jackson Chourio can have a career like Robin Yount and have a Hall of Fame type of career, hopefully that's what we all want to see. And hopefully it also leads to a World Series title. That's what we're all hoping for, right? So Brewers will be back at it today, and you're going to be able to catch that game on the radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM. But they're going to be back in action today, going up against the Guardians of Cleveland. We're going to see Colin Ray get some action. Is going to be the initial starter. Probably one of the last times we're going to see him. Maybe I would say one more after this, maybe a little bit of action after this, a little bit more work in. But I think Colin Ray is pretty much a lock to be in that starting rotation for the Crew. Tomorrow might be a game, or excuse me, Thursday might be a game to kind of really pay attention to. It's going to be it's actually a night game going up against the Giants. But Wade Miley is going to be getting some work in on that game. He's listed as the, let's call it, initial outgetter because it is spring training. Wade Miley is finally going to get some work in. Still up in the air whether he's going to be a part of, the opening day roster. He might have to miss the first turn through the rotation here. But good to see Wade Miley's going to get some work in, get some action in before spring training wraps up. And he will be getting that action 1 week before opening day. So, but Colin Ray is going to get that start tonight. And he's going to be a guy that I think, Ray is an interesting player because, he's in his 30s. A lot of us, majority, a wide majority of us had no idea who the heck this guy was last year when he got called up for the Brewers because of injury concerns or because of injuries. Then they bring up this guy who 30s, early 30s. It's like, okay, this guy's been around for a while, but really not at the major league level. He, played a little bit with the Padres, with the Marlins, with the Cubs and such. Like who? Okay, this is just going to be a short stint here. Yeah, Padres from 15 to 16, Marlins 16. Then he wasn't with the Cubs until 2020. But he ended up playing a pivotal role last year for the Brewers because of injuries. And now this year, he's going to be a part of that rotation, at least initially. And there's going to be, I think, he's going to be a big part of that rotation. Whether he can play up to those high levels or high expectations remains to be seen. But, when we look at the starting rotation, we talk about Freddie Peralta. We talk about, it starts there. Then you got Wade Miley. But, Wade Miley, you're going to be happy if you get 120 innings out of that guy. And then you got DL Hall, the youngster coming in who's, part of the Corbin Burns trade. So there's going to be a little bit of a spotlight on him already. Then you hear about, well, that guy's got some electric stuff. Maybe a little inconsistent until he gets, into a rhythm and a little bit more experience. But a lot of people excited about DL Hall. Those are your right now for this year, your most talked about starters. Aaron Ashby's probably going to start in the bullpen, but I think eventually they still want him as a future starter. But then it's Colin Ray and Joe Ross as your next pitchers in that rotation. Couple early 30-year-olds, guys who been around the league up and down for a while now. How are those two guys going to play out this year? It's going to be something something to watch. And what happens if, let's say, Colin Ray and Joe Ross just can't figure it out? They're struggling. You don't have an Adrian Hauser anymore. He's gone. Are you ready to put up an Aaron Ashby in that starting rotation? He's coming off that injury where he missed all of last year. Still working on getting that velocity. You got some farm talent. You got a Robert Gosser. You got a Mizorowski who's probably not ready yet for major league outings. But you look at this starting rotation and it's like Joe Ross and Colin Ray. Curious to see how those two guys perform this year because they're going to get the first shot. They're going to be those are going to be two guys that are going to get the initial shots at being in this rotation. Don't know how it's going to play out though. All right, let's take a quick break and let's talk some Badgers. We'll talk some hoops. The 5th-seeded Badgers in the South region taking on James Madison. We'll ask RJ, does he feel better, maybe a little bit better about this team now that the tournament is here from what he saw in the Big Ten Conference tournament, or is it a little too late because, all right, you're the 5th seed. If you do get a win, you got a Duke after that. So we'll talk some hoops with him. We'll talk some Frozen Four women's hockey for the Badgers too. So plenty to catch up on. We'll take that break and we'll bring in RJ after these few words.
makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. My training helps me at work when I lead by example. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my community and those I care about safe from threats. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time close to home by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing.
But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Not only can you listen to your favorite radio show in the world, but now you can watch why everyone says Dan has a face for radio. Watch the Dan Kasper Show live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
Spring Kids movie series continues with Micon Cinemas. Appreciate Micon Cinemas partnering up with Backyard Dreams for this. Feel the Dreams. Feel the Dreams going to be playing this weekend, Saturday and Sunday at the Micon Cinemas location at the Oakwood Mall. 11 a.m. showtimes, $3 admission, just $2 popcorns, $2 sodas. Portions of the proceeds, partial portions of the proceeds going to help Backyard Dreams. So again, big thanks to Micon Cinemas for partnering up with Backyard Dreams for this. And what better way to get ready for opening day than to go to the theater and watch a little Feel the Dreams. Maybe take the kiddos with you there too. So that will be this weekend. They're also going on this weekend too. Well, actually starting here tonight, if you count the first four, we got the NCAA tournament and such. Badgers will be in action late Friday nights over there in Brooklyn. So let's talk all things Badgers with our dude, Mr. RJ Cardinal this morning. So RJ, Badgers got close. They took down Purdue. We're up by 10 at one point in the second half against Illinois. Fell a little bit short. Do you feel better about this Badger team now from what you saw in this Big Ten conference? Or do you feel like, you know what, too little, too late? They're just in a really tough situation as a 5 seed. Even if they get by James Madison, you potentially have Duke after that too.
You know, I liked what I saw in the Big Ten tournament. It all started with the game against Maryland where they just went unconscious. You played a depleted Northwestern team where the only reason they stayed in the game is because you consciously made the decision to say, okay, Boo Booey, you beat us. If you can beat us, we deserve to lose this game. And then you went in and your game plan you have had against Purdue, the 2 other games you played and had close games, you finally squeaked one out and won a game of 5-on-8. And, you know, it was a good weekend. And the same game played out against Illinois that happened here in Madison when we last played them. It was Damask and Shannon who, you know, led that team to victory with, I believe in Madison it was 30 plus points each, and in here it was, I forget who had the 30 and who had the 28 or whatever it was, but once again it was those two. So that was just a game that for a while you did, and who knows if playing 4 games in 4 days finally caught up to them at the end there. But yeah, you were with them the whole way right up until the end when fouling started, and you had to go through that kind of ending. But yeah, I mean, whatever you're going to do, that's what we gotta play like moving forward. And I think it's the first time having as close to a full healthy team as we've had in a long time now outside of John Blackwell apparently having some sort of ankle injury or ankle hurt or whatever we want to call it, this team is really looking like they're back to where they were pre-February.
Looking at, by the way, Damas was really annoying me in that game, just backing him down and all that sort of stuff. I was like, God,
yeah,
the Waupun native.
Yeah.
That was like, stop it, for crying out loud.
No, get out of here.
Exactly, right? So, okay, so the Badgers are the 5 seed. I think, they probably got the 5 seed. They moved up by beating Purdue, right? Otherwise, they were probably going to be a 6 seed at this point in time. So you look at that region, though, the South. I mean, it seems like it's a region, RJ, that, you got Houston up there, you got Marquette, you got Kentucky, you got Duke, you got Wisconsin. Those top 5 feel like teams to me that when they're on, all 5 of those are really good. But we've also seen where those teams, when something's off, they can be pretty vulnerable too. So that's why I think that South region is kind of spicy a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, most people are looking at it and kind of calling it like the group of death.
Yeah,
like you see in the World Cup, where it's like, oh, who's getting knocked out of this one and not being able to have a chance to win it at all. But it's one of those where most people now are looking at the winner of the South being your national champion based on the potential matchups against the kind of quality opponent, whether it's net rankings, Ken Palm rankings, or actual rankings right now, that the winner of this region will be the best tested to make their run in the Final Four and win 2 games. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And it's just one of those where it's like, if you win your next matchup, if chalk happens, your next matchup's going to be hard, no matter who you advance against.
Looking at this tournament, was this, this Big Ten Conference tournament here, was this the best we've seen Chucky Hepburn play at a consistent level? I know he missed a game due to injury too, but, those couple games, Purdue and even Illinois, was this the best you've seen Chucky Hepburn play? I know he's had some individual good games, but, looking at his career, he's been a guy who's been up and down, kind of inconsistent. But was this maybe the best you've seen him play at any point?
It felt like a combination of what we've seen from last year, his scoring, to this year, his defense and his passing ability. So it looked like somebody even talked to Chucky and was like, you got to do something. You can take over games, man. Let's go.
Yeah.
And so that kind of looked like it happened. And I mean, you really had to like what you see out of Chucky.
AJ Storr, obviously with his scoring, I mean, I don't know if it was Bill Raftery who said it during the game too, but I thought they said a great point. Do you think Bo Ryan could have coached a guy like AJ Storr? I mean, like, what would have Bo Ryan's reaction have been when he tried to T-Mac that thing, throwing it off the backboard and putting it back there? Like, I could just imagine Bo Ryan going nuts in his home or wherever the heck he was watching that play.
Oh, at this point in time, I bet Bo Ryan was just laughing. But I would say if we saw that in the game, he'd get the towel and be sat on the bench and been like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
I mean, Sam Decker don't ever remember Sam Decker trying to do the T-Mac there, but it's one of those things where Sam Decker kind of did some running and would score, but still turn it into, yeah, you're gonna take a seat right here. We got to talk about what you just did. So I'm guessing there might have been a little more of a leash on there, but as we talked earlier in the year too, they're starting to run a different kind of offense where it's like maybe that's not the thing they're looking for, but I mean, if something's open, go for it. I wouldn't say putting it off the backboard and giving yourself a dunk is in the playbook, but hey, you know what? If you have the kind of offensive freedom in there, might as well give it a try.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. So, okay. So they got James Madison. We know James Madison, 31 wins. They beat Michigan State at the beginning of the year. I know whether you're Seth Davis or or any other national college basketball guy, you've picked this one as your upset as a 12-5 matchup here. How concerned should we be as Badgers fans going up against James Madison? We know they beat Michigan State at the early part of the season. We know they've won 31 games. But I mean, is this a game that if Wisconsin plays like they did in the Big Ten Conference Tournament, they should comfortably win this game?
I think so. Maybe not comfortably, still have a close game like they can have. James Madison is a team that can score from inside and outside. I believe they're one of the highest scoring teams in college basketball. They have great players. I mean, you don't get to 31-3 by accident, but you can also get to 31-3 by only having 3 quad 1 and 2 games and going 1-2 in those, and your 1 wins over Michigan State. Then your other 29 wins come in quad 3 and 4 games, and you have a loss in a quad 3 game. So their net rankings 52. The next highest in their conference is 72, and then after 72, it's 137. So they're not really playing the toughest schedule once they got to conference, and even non-conference, they weren't playing that tough of a schedule. So it's one of those where you don't want to dismiss it because it's hard to do what they did, but you're looking at a team that played a strength of schedule of 293. The opponent offenses you played against were ranked 293. And the opponent defenses you played against were 269 in the Ken Palm rankings. So not very highly thought of competition. Where you look at Wisconsin, they were number 3 strength of schedule, number 7 opponent offense, number 3 opponent defense. And I think one of these teams might be better tested than the other. And we'll see what happens, but I would say on the competition side of it, and granted, we're looking at the paper side of it, Wisconsin should be the favorite here and should win. But Wisconsin hasn't had the greatest 3-point defense. It's something that, kind of reared its head in the Northwestern game, but thankfully nobody outside of Boo Buie could make a 3. I think only one person made 1 3 in that game outside of Boo Buie, but there were some open looks there. It's just a matter of what kind of Wisconsin defense is going to show up. Are our big men going to be able to protect the rim? And if they can, will our kind of help defense not have some of those mistakes we saw in still even some of the games where a guy leaves to leave a guy wide open for a 3-pointer and it doesn't get back in time. So it is still one of those where we kind of need to see this team play a little bit better at defense, or else this game could end up being closer than it should be, and could be hopefully not the other way around, but could be that as well if you have a bad defensive game. The one thing the line has already gone up from 3.5 to 5.5, but the odd thing is public bets are like 79% coming in on James Madison, so it doesn't make sense why. Well, I mean, it does. There's got to be some huge bets on Wisconsin to cover at 3.5 to get it up to 5.5 in 2 days. So it's a little odd how the betting's playing out, but we'll see what goes on here.
If let's say Wisconsin wins and let's say Duke wins, with both teams, let's assume that they play at their best. Wisconsin's playing at their best, Duke's playing at their best. Is Wisconsin's best enough to beat Duke's best, in your opinion?
I mean, I'd like to say yes, because we just saw them beat the number 3 team in the country. And granted, that's a totally different style of game, but even when Duke's considered playing some of their best, they lost some games to teams they probably shouldn't have. So, I give Wisconsin a chance. But I mean, to steal a line from whoever it was, way back in the day, but coach from somewhere in the Northeast, and he's just talking about their game against Duke and how they lost, and he just says, Duke is Duke. They're on TV more than Leave It to Beaver reruns. So, but yeah, I mean, that'd be a matchup where I'd probably end up picking Duke for the sake of saying they probably are the better overall around team, but the way Wisconsin's been playing, especially in this tournament, they really have a shot against anybody right now.
Do you have your Final Four picked yet?
No, I haven't even looked at a bracket outside of the Selection Sunday show, so I do not have my Final Four picked yet.
Well, you'll have to let us know when you do, so we can put you on the spot with your Final Four. So
I can do that.
Hey, also this weekend too, women's hockey, Badger women's hockey. They've advanced to the Frozen Four again, taking on Colgate on Friday. RJ, how do you like their chances to come back with another national championship for that program?
I mean, the way they took care of the number 1 overall seed, Ohio State, in the conference championship game, and really just pressured them into making a lot of mistakes. I think, and watching them against St. Lawrence, they're winning. I think it ended up 3-0, 4-0. I'm trying to remember which one it was, but the way they've been playing and pressuring, it seems they've really come on. And I know we're jumping up in competition against Colgate here, but the way Wisconsin's hitting their stride right now, they're going to be a pretty difficult out. And I'll put them in the national championship game with another rematch versus Ohio State, most likely right now. And if Ohio State's thinking about that last game at all, I think Wisconsin pulls out a back-to-back national championship.
Man, that'd be awesome, dude. So, and then on the men's side, we find out in a couple days, because I'm looking at their website. They got a countdown here, but a couple days we'll find out for the men's where they're going or if they're in a tournament, right?
Yeah, we got the well, I think it's this Saturday is the Big Ten tournament final. So Michigan State, Michigan. But so I believe Sunday is the NCAA hockey selection show.
Got it.
So yeah, we'll see where we are there. But I saw in the rankings we dropped to number 9. Don't know where we are on the RPI. But still should be like a 2 seed, I hope. Maybe a 3. Judging by being a 9 seed, but I think RPI were a little higher anyway, so might be a 2 seed somewhere, and hopefully it's just not in Michigan State's side of things, because it appears we tend to have trouble with them in Ohio State. But other than that, the team, you got to like where they're at. Hopefully being at rest for 2+ weeks won't be a hindrance on whoever they end up playing.
Do we have any wrestlers for the Badgers that are going to be competing at the national championships? I know you're into wrestling and such, but do we have, because I saw them tweet out they got some more wrestling happening. So do we have any representation for the national side?
Yeah, they had 5 guys qualify. It's Dean Hamadi, Max Mailer. Was not expecting this question. What are you doing to me? Now I gotta look up
Now
who
you
it
gotta
all
look at
is.
it. I put you on the spot. That's my bad,
You
bro.
did.
I'm sorry.
Jeez, man. You talked about basketball and all that, and you never said on the way out talking about wrestling, so I didn't pull it up.
Well, I figured you're a wrestler, right? So I mean,
Yeah,
coming off
that's
of
true.
Tim
Probably should have known.
Tim Fader doing a fantastic job. Blue Gold's got a national champion. So I know you've talked about Coach Fader a lot whenever I've asked you. So
Yeah, I actually had buddies who wrestled for him at Whitewater. So, yeah, he does an amazing job wherever he goes, and it's just one of those. Yeah, he's just amazing.
yeah,
So, it is one of those where you look at it and you just applaud him wherever he goes, and you got to be happy if he's on your head coach. And it seems most places he goes, they end up being pretty happy about it.
Yep, exactly.
Wow, how can I not find a list here? All right, well, they got 5 guys in there, so
All right. Well, we'll pay attention to that. I'll ask you about it next week. How about that? I'll give you a heads up. So
sounds good.
all right.
That works out.
All right. So prediction time. Badger basketball. How many wins? And women's hockey. Do they come away with a championship?
Wins for basketball. Man, I'll go 1. Won't get out of the weekend. End up losing to Duke in a close one because somebody touches a ball that goes out of bounds, but somehow Duke still gets calls. And then women's hockey, I'll call the repeat. Let's go.
All right, I like it, man. I like it. How many would that be for Mark Johnson in that group then? Are we up to 8 or what is it?
I believe 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was lucky number 7 last year, wasn't it? So,
yep.
Wow. Unreal. And it all started because he was your little league coach. There you go.
That's how it got there. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. RJ, appreciate the time as always, buddy. Enjoy the games this weekend. And hey, you know what? Hopefully we're talking about a Sweet 16 and a national championship next Tuesday with you, bud.
Absolutely. That'd be great.
Awesome. All right. Talk to you soon. Have a good week, bud.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
You got it. RJ Cardinal joining us here this morning. Yes, we did mention women's hockey for River Falls quite a bit yesterday, with especially with JC and they 31-0. Yes, we mentioned that quite a bit yesterday. Let's take a break and we'll finish up this hour in this program with some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Spring cleaning just for your home or office, right? Wrong. You got to take care of yourself as well. So, are you tired of those aches and pains that you've been holding off on getting checked out? Don't put it off any longer. Reduce your pain and enjoy the ease of your daily activities with the help from Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is your leaders in orthopedic, brain, and spine care. So, whether you are an athlete or just have an aching joint, they can help you out. Just visit cvosm.com to get started. It is time for some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire. Looking for somewhere maybe to catch the games while enjoying a nice, cool man cave light? Head on over to the Elbow Room located in Eau Claire right next to the Banbury Place. Also, want to partake in their bracket challenge? Stop on in. Make sure you do it quick. Got to get that bracket in. We got games starting today, the first 4. So you want to stop by and get your brackets in over at the Elbow Room. Again, located right next to the Banbury Place. While you're filling out, enjoy yourself a man cave light over there too. Also, don't forget, if you want to join our bracket challenge, just go to sportstalk1051.com and click on the fan cave tab, fill out your bracket. Also be a part of our bottle cap challenge over there too. Speaking of which, let's do some picks here. I'll start off with the NBA, then we'll go to the college side because Denver at Minnesota. Fantastic matchup tonight. Fantastic. Why not? It's in Minnesota. Give me Minnesota for this one. I'll go with the T-Wolves picking up the W tonight. So that's the only NBA game because we got quite a few college games with the NIT and then with the first 4 games coming up here. Wagner versus Howard. Give me Wagner for this one in a battle of 16 seeds there. Then we got a battle of 2 10 seeds here. Colorado State at Virginia. Give me Virginia for that one. Then let's do some NIT first round pick, shall we? Why not? Because we like picking some college basketball games here. North Texas at LSU. Give me a little LSU. Boston College at Providence. Give me Providence. Xavier at Georgia. Give me Xavier. Cornell at Ohio State. Give me Ohio State. South Florida at UCF. Give me UCF. Richmond, the Richmond Spiders going up against Virginia Tech. Give me Richmond in this one. Minnesota at Butler. Give me Minnesota. Kansas State at Iowa. Give me Iowa for that one. UC Irvine versus Utah. Give me Utah. Utah. Give me 2. Get the movie reference. Texas Southern at Tarleton State. Give me Texas Southern. And then Abilene Christian versus Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Give me Texas A&M Corpus Christi. All right. Those are your picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room. Spent a lot of time this morning talking about the news that Jackson Churio will be on the opening day roster for the Brewers, according to the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. That was reported last night. Nothing confirmed yet from the Brewers, from what I've seen so far. Maybe we'll find out a little bit more today. But nonetheless, Jackson Churio, the youngster, will be on the opening day roster for the Crew. So, young man's under a lot of pressure, a lot of expectations for him. I can't imagine being in his shoes as a recently turned 20-year-old. But nonetheless, hopefully he can live up to those expectations too. Well, there's a lot of eyes on him. The spotlight is huge on him. So, you'll be able to check out the game today for the Crew. First pitch at 3:05. That'll be on the radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Elsewhere, we talked a little football here this morning too. The latest and last updates on one of the poll questions I threw out there yesterday, but kind of getting some of your feedback based off of, we know these 2 NFC North teams are going to have rookie quarterbacks. We know the Bears are going to draft Caleb Williams. Vikings a little bit up in the air. They're going to move up and try to get one of those quarterbacks. Now they got a little bit more ammunition. Which one of those do they have their eyes on? But both, I think, have set up their rookie quarterbacks. And I think Minnesota, they're going to open up with Sam Darnold as a starter, but eventually rookie will be taken over, whether it's at some point this upcoming season or the following year. But, I mean, you look at both teams. Minnesota, you got J.J., Justin Jefferson, Addison, T.J. Hawkinson. Chicago, you got DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Swift over there. You got some nice veteran pieces to pair up with your young quarterback. But we asked you, which, with both teams looking like they will draft a quarterback this year, who do you think has the potential for a brighter future? 62.7% of you went with Chi-Town, went with Chicago over there. So we'll talk, obviously, some more, hopefully maybe some more football tomorrow if there's any more free agency moves left for the for the green and gold. But pretty quiet ever since they're, bringing in Xavier McKinney and then Jacobs and then, re-signing some of their own with Keyshawn Nixon and such. So other than that, been pretty darn quiet surrounding Green Bay. Bucks will be back in action tomorrow night. We're going to be hitting that game up and previewing that because that is a big-time matchup on the road against Boston. Just 14 more games left to go here in the regular season for the Bucks. We're talking about 4 weeks worth of games. 4 weeks left of the regular season. And as at last count, 10 of those last 14 for the Bucks are going to be going up against teams that are currently in the postseason right now. You got Boston. Then after that is a quick game against Brooklyn. You got OKC. You got the Lakers. You got the Pelicans. Then you got a game against Atlanta and Washington, Memphis, Toronto, the Knicks, Boston again, Orlando, OKC, Orlando playing some good hoops right now. You look at we looked at the standings yesterday. The Magic creeping up in there. They're currently in the 5th seed. They've won 3 in a row. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They're just 4 games back from Milwaukee for a 2nd seed. Milwaukee's right now holding on to a 1-game lead over Cleveland, but the Knicks are there too, just 3 games back from the Bucks. So a little bit of a race. Still the only team to have clinched a playoff spot is the Boston Celtics in the entire NBA. You've had a couple teams that have been eliminated from playoff contention. Detroit now. We knew Washington was earlier. San Antonio was earlier, but now you can add Portland to that list of teams who are eliminated from playoff contention. What else did we chat? We did a little Raise Place. Who cut, didn't cut the mustard. We also did a little ASAP Used Auto Parts Grind My Gears Tuesday. Hey, don't forget to sign up now before prices go up for the 4th annual Kasper Classic. A lot of you have already signed up. We had to temporarily close down the 10 a.m. time. We got 3 tee times. We got 3 flights out there. But if you want more details, just go to sportstalk1051.com. But we had to reserve the 10 a.m. because a lot of you signed up for that one for some sponsors. So if you're interested in sponsoring and helping out Backyard Dreams, there's a way to get a 10 a.m. tee time over there. Okay. We're looking for some support, some sponsors, donations for some raffles. I know we're about under 5 months, so a few months away, and you're probably thinking got plenty of time for that. But we want to make this the biggest and the baddest and the best classic of any other year that we've done this. So any support you can give is much appreciated. If you're interested in maybe sponsoring, whole sponsor, and getting a team in with that sponsorship, let me know. Hit me up with an email or something, and I'll reach out to you. But big thanks to all of you who have already signed up for the Classic. And there was a lot of you when we first opened that up. But early bird pricing still going on right now. So, again, more details at sportstalk1051.com. You can click on the logo there. Just got to scroll down a little bit on the homepage, and you'll see that over there. Otherwise, visit 715store.com. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we'll do another edition of the Business of Sports. We got another Classes in Session. We'll talk about that Bucks and Celtics game. We'll talk some Brewers. Maybe we'll throw some more football talk in there too as we get closer to the upcoming draft. But maybe we'll see. Maybe Green Bay's got something up their sleeve. Could they make a trade for a linebacker? Are they going to bring in another safety? We'll see if there's any rumors or rumblings surrounding the green and gold. And if there are, we'll hit that up tomorrow. But we'll talk some Brewers too. I'm assuming when we hear from Pat Murphy and some of the other Brewers, maybe we'll find out if he's going to officially announce Jackson Chourio is on that opening day roster for the Brewers. So we'll have plenty to recap and preview tomorrow. Don't forget, we'll have a couple new episodes of the Man Cave podcast. Also up later on this morning, later on today. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for free. That way you never miss another episode. And if you got a few seconds, be a friend, tell a friend about the pod. And if you could, give us a 5-star rating on like Apple and Spotify and a positive review on like Apple so others can find the podcast. Till next time, let's do it again tomorrow morning, right? Just past 6 a.m. All right. Set your alarms, set your timers. Let's hit it up. DP and the Danettes, they're up next. Have a good rest of your day. Chat with you all again tomorrow morning. See you then.